Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, I am so glad you're here today because we have an absolutely incredible story to explore. We're going to look at one of the most famous historical events ever recorded. It's a true story about facing our biggest, most terrifying fears and actually discovering something amazing right in the middle of them. We're diving into ancient texts that describe massive waves, totally terrifying moments, and someone literally walking on top of the water. But more importantly, we're going to uncover what this ancient story means for you and me right now. So, I want you to think about this question for a second. What do a scary storm at sea and your absolute hardest days have in common? Have you ever had just a really, really tough day? A day where you felt totally overwhelmed, like everything was going wrong. Maybe it was a super hard test at school, or a problem with a good friend, or just feeling afraid of something you totally couldn't control. Well, as we'll see from our source material today, the feelings you have on those hard days, they are exactly the same feelings a group of guys had thousands of years ago, right in the middle of a very real, very dangerous physical storm. Section 1. The Great Storm, Facing the Hungry Waves. Okay, let's dive into this. We're traveling back in time to the Sea of Galilee. It's the middle of the night, and Jesus' closest friends, his disciples, are trapped in a small wooden boat. Now, these weren't just guys who occasionally went fishing for fun. Many of them were professional fishermen. They really knew the water. But the storm that hits them this night is unlike anything they've ever seen. Our source text uses some incredibly vivid language to describe the stakes here. It says the boat was laboring with strong winds and heavy gales, and it talks about the hungry waves and foam-capped billows. I mean, just imagine that phrase, hungry waves. It paints a picture of a sea that's literally trying to swallow them whole. The wind is roaring so loudly they probably can't even hear each other shouting. They're rowing with all their might, but their efforts feel completely useless against the sheer power of the water just crashing over the sides of their tiny boat. The situation gets so bad that they absolutely reach their breaking point. The text notes that the moon and stars seem to be hidden entirely by thick storm clouds, so they're plunged into total pitch-black darkness. In absolute despair, they cry out, "We shall perish," which means they were totally certain they weren't going to survive. They feel like their rowing is utterly useless. They've toiled at the oars, but without any success whatsoever. They are completely out of strength, out of ideas, and out of hope. Section 2. A voice in the dark, a light on the water. But right when they think it's completely over, something impossible happens. In the middle of that pitch-black darkness, amid the foam and the crashing waves, a light form suddenly appears. It's not another boat, it's a person. And this person isn't swimming. He is walking directly on top of the crashing waves, stepping on those hungry waves like they're a solid sidewalk. It's Jesus. And then a voice cuts right through the deafening roar of the tempest. Our text highlights this really powerful quote from the book of Matthew. "Be of good cheer, it is I. Be not afraid." Wow. Can you imagine the relief? Just seconds ago, they were certain they were going to drown. And now, with just a few words, Jesus brings instant comfort. He doesn't panic. He just calmly tells them, "I am here. You don't need to be afraid." Section 3. Storms in our own lives, pulling against a head sea. Now, most of us will probably never be trapped in a tiny wooden boat in the middle of a literal hurricane, right? But the text makes a brilliant connection, asking how many of us in our own times of peril are making a hard pull against a head sea. Have you ever felt stuck in a modern-day storm? Because a storm isn't just bad weather. It's a temporary time of peril or trial that feels like we are rowing hard without any success. Have you ever felt totally hopeless or sad, what the text calls despondency, where you just say to yourself, "It's no use, my efforts are as nothing"? It's when you study for hours but still struggle with that math concept. It's when you try really hard to be a good friend, but you still end up in an argument. It's those moments where the clouds of doubt and uncertainty gather, and you just feel totally stuck. Just like the disciples trapped on those ancient waves, we face our own really tough trials today. The amazing reassurance here is that Jesus is just as near to us amid our scenes of tempest and trial as he was to his followers tossed on those actual physical waves. The exact same person who walked on the water to save them is standing right beside you in whatever tough thing you are dealing with right now. Section 4. The School of Hard Times, Education for Higher Work. This brings us to one of the most fascinating ideas in our explainer today. That terrifying night in the boat, it wasn't just a random piece of bad luck. It was actually a classroom. Those difficult, dark hours were designed to teach the disciples something they could never, ever learn when the sun was shining and the water was calm. So the absolute crucial point is understanding the difference between how we feel and what is actually happening. When hard times hit, we might feel like a sinking ship, like the storm was sent to shipwreck us, to completely ruin our day or even our lives. But actually, it's more like a school building, designed to educate and test us individually. The storm is not a punishment. It's a proving ground. Let's look at exactly what this classroom of trials teaches us. First, it prepares us for higher work. I mean, you can't level up in a video game without beating the boss, right? Hard times prepare us for bigger, more important things in the future. Second, it demands your absolute best, most dedicated effort. Third, it gives us an individual experience. You have to learn how to trust God for yourself, not just rely on your parents or teachers. And finally, it teaches us to hold fast to God when everything else feels completely shaky. Let's see how this builds into a really specific challenge from our text, focused on the number 1. The source specifically urges us, let none shirk, which means to dodge or avoid one hard lesson or lose the blessing of one hard discipline. Not even one. I know, it's so tempting to want to skip the hard stuff, to cheat on the difficult test of life, or run away from a tough conversation. But if we skip even one hard lesson, we actually lose the blessing and the strength that comes from passing that specific test. Section 5. Our captain and friend, unwavering trust in the boat. So how do we get through this school of hard times without totally panicking? Well, to get through it, we have to remember who is in the boat with us. The wonderful truth from the story is that Christ is on board the vessel. You are never, ever alone in the dark. The text gives us 3 very clear, actionable steps on how to handle the storm. Step 1, have calm, steady, firm, unwavering trust in God. Step 2, believe that Christ is our captain and that he will take care not only of us, but of the ship itself. You don't have to steer the boat. Let the captain do it. And step 3, stand close to the side of Jesus. There is no need to walk through clouds of doubt and uncertainty alone when you can stand right next to the one who literally controls the waves. Just look at these 3 beautiful roles Jesus promises to play in our lives. Whatever our condition in life, he is our sure guide. He knows the exact way out of the storm. Whatever our business or daily activities, he is our counselor, kind of like the ultimate coach giving us the very best advice. And whatever our loneliness might feel like, he is our friend. And that means you always have someone in your corner. I really want to read this direct quote to you because it's the ultimate takeaway of everything we've looked at today. Whatever be our loneliness, he is our friend in whom we may ever trust. No matter how dark the clouds get, no matter how hungry those waves seem, you have a friend who can walk on water and you can absolutely always trust him. Which leaves us with this final question to think about today. The next time you face a pop quiz in the school of hard times, the next time the winds start howling and you feel like you're rowing nowhere, will you remember who your captain is? I really hope this story reminds you that you are safe, that you're learning something incredibly valuable, and that your greatest friend is right there in the boat with you. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer, and keep learning out there.